Bob Chesney brainwashed you. What was the adjustment like to a Tuesday game, and what's the adjustment kind of been like getting back to a normal schedule now?
The Tuesday game was definitely, I think, weird for all of us. But, I mean, we've talked about it with a lot of people on the team, just like how you come out on a Saturday and it feels like a Tuesday practice or a Wednesday practice. So just having that mentality and just trying to convince yourself that a Tuesday game is really a Saturday game, it kind of helped us. But definitely a little bit weird when we got back, having classes the next day and having a couple of days off. So I think the adjustment was good for us, but it was definitely weird.
And Coach was also talking about, especially these last 2 weeks at halftime, just making sure everybody is aware of doing their 111 and what they need to do to come out strong during the second half, especially on defense. What is sort of the message amongst players been the last 2 weeks to be able to come out and perform on defense during the second half like you guys have?
Yeah, I think during halftime it's really calm, cool, and collected through everybody. You know, somebody might have some words to say, but it's not too much, I guess, panic, as you would say. Obviously, you don't want to give up 20 points in the first half. But, you know, Ches gave a great halftime speech. Just, you know, teams don't always want to play 60 minutes, and we do. So going out there, making the adjustments we need, and making sure that people aren't getting down on themselves after one bad play or two bad plays or whatever it is. But I think we've done a great job coming out and just giving the same type of energy that we're giving in the first half and the second half, and it shows through offense and defense.
The last two games you guys have played against some pretty fast offenses. How much confidence does it give you guys that you are able to make those halftime adjustments and really shut them down?
It gives a lot. Definitely the last two teams were up tempo, and it was harder to get, you know, calls in and having different strategies of what we're going to do and what type of calls we're going to make. But, you know, it gives us a lot of confidence that we can go out and do what we did and hold people to shutouts in the second half, especially against those last two teams, because those are some good offenses and probably some of the best in the Sun Belt. So definitely gives us some confidence, but, you know, still a lot of things we have to get better on.
And I know Coach answered it, and it started with So, but switched to the whole team about you guys. You know, if there's a mistake on one play, you're not letting the emotions take over. For you being around this program, how have you seen this year's team kind of handle that and, you know, make sure that they are pushing forward to the next play and wanting to correct those mistakes?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to last year. Like, I think sometimes people would get down on themselves and start playing in a different way, trying to make up for plays that they might have messed up on in the past. But, you know, this year is this year, and it's a completely different team from last year. I think we've done a great job. The coaches and the players even, you know, coaching themselves. It's just watching the iPad on the sideline and knowing what you did wrong to know that you can do better the next time has been really big for us, and I think everyone's done a great job at it so far.
We bugged you about him a lot this year, but since you play with so many different defensive coordinators, I kind of wanted to ask you, is there a variable to Coach Hitchler's coaching style that's very different from the past that you can kind of associate with the past defensive coordinators you've had?
I think it's more so the process during the week between Tuesday and Thursday and the walkthroughs that we do on Friday and Saturday. They're not long walkthroughs, but there's some of the stuff that we see exactly what we're going to see in those Saturday games. So making sure that our tempo and how we're, you know, going through practice from Tuesday to Thursday it's hard, but it's good for us, and it gets us ready for Saturday. So, I mean, he does a great job at breaking down film with us, seeing running back and tight end alignments and two on the ball, what they might run. So having that mental image in your head already and then going to see it on Saturday, like, you know, we're calling out runs sometimes before they happen and over routes and deep shots and stuff like that. So the preparation is, I think, the biggest thing for us so far.
Obviously, it's early in the week, but what have you kind of seen from Marshall's offense so far as you kind of dug into the tape?
Yeah, they're good. They score a lot of points. They got some pretty good O-linemen. That quarterback he's pretty good. You know, their slot receiver, number 4, like to get him the ball a lot. But, you know, it's another good Sun Belt offense that we're going to play. So, you know, the preparation doesn't change. The intensity doesn't change. We got to have the same type of communication that we've been having all season long. So, really excited for the challenge.
Talking second half and all the successes you guys have had in the second half of games, how much would you say is it just kind of a mentality versus the ability to make adjustments and get a sense for how the offense is trying to attack you guys?
Yeah, I think I might have said it before, but, you know, the amount of adjustments that we make at halftime is not too many. You know, we might put in one or two more calls that different looks that they might not have seen through the first half, but it really is just a mentality thing. You know, we're going to go out there and play harder and longer than the person with the ball, so Ches goes over that with us a lot during our team meetings throughout the week, and we really buy into it. So, there's not much that we do at halftime, but, we're going to go out there and give the same effort that we did in the first half.
I know you were just in here, but we just heard, Chesney talking about just kind of the message to the guys, like how good can this team be, and just stacking that up. Kind of if you could talk about that just from like a player's perspective, especially with, 8 games down, four more to go in the stretch run.
Yeah, I think the ceiling's the limit for us, or the sky's the limit for us. Sorry, but I feel like we've gotten better throughout every single week, and you can tell through offense and special teams and even defense. Everyone wants to get better, and everyone is striving for that. So, we had a good game last game, but for us, we feel like we should have scored more points, or, we should have held them to less points. So there's always something you can grow and learn and mature off of. So I think that's our biggest goal right now, is just trying to get better day by day.
From a confidence standpoint, too, when you guys do have these second halves that you've been having, how much has it helped when you're standing on the sidelines and you see like the offense immediately come out and continue doing what they were doing in the first half? I know like this past week it was Alonzo hitting Nick for the 76-yard touchdown to just kind of keep that momentum going. How much does that help you guys?
Yeah, it's that's awesome to see, and we hope for more of that in the future. But it's great, having your offense click on all cylinders in the first and second half, and then they trust us. So when we come out in the second half and hold them to 3 and outs, or they might get 1 first down, but we're getting an interception with X or an interception with J, and just knowing that they trust us, and then when we're going to give them the ball back, like they're going to do something with it. So it gives a lot of trust between the offense and the defense, and it's just really cool to see.
For you guys offensively, the last couple of weeks, it really does seem that it's starting to click on all cylinders. How much have you noticed kind of a comfort spread across this group and what you guys are able to do?
I would say it's more of a confidence, just knowing that we've put the work in and we're prepared. Kind of when our offense was struggling a little bit early on, there wasn't much finger pointing, there wasn't any blaming or doubt. It was really just come in every day and do your job, and eventually we know we have the talent to make it work, and I feel like that's kind of what we've been seeing.
I know when we've talked to Alonzo so far this season, he's talked about it was difficult for him, over the last several months getting back into it and getting those reps with you guys, because it wasn't something he was able to do in the spring and into the summer for the most part. How much have you noticed that kind of change too, where you guys are able to actually be out on the field and taking reps together?
I'd say I noticed it a lot. I think it kind of went untalked about early on. Maybe that was attributing to some of our struggles overall, because Alonzo wasn't the only person in that scenario being out for a camp or multiple camps. I was as well. Nick DeGennaro didn't get as much time as he would want to. So I think just time has helped us overall, just keeping at it, getting more reps, getting more comfortable overall across the board for a lot of guys.
And obviously you have a couple years of experience yourself, but I've got to ask, what's it like having a guy like Murdy in that room who's just played so much football? What have you kind of been able to learn from him these last 2 years?
I think a lot. I think more just a sense of confidence runs through, like, you never have to worry with him. He's going to do his job. He's really solid. Everyone can trust him, which is really nice. Kind of like a backbone of our O-line in a sense, I would say.
And Jordan Fuller has said multiple times that he's kind of told the offensive line, like, look, I'm not going to go down, but I'm not going to run. Just come up and push me. What's it been like blocking for a guy that just will not go down?
It's awesome. As an O-lineman, it's kind of like exactly what you want. Like, we're going to work as hard as we can, knowing the guy behind us is going to do the same exact thing, and we're just going to push that pile for him and break down some teams while we do it.
Obviously, there's the size difference between Wayne Knight and Fuller, but if you kind of look at their skill sets or look at some of the data, it's like you can run a lot of zone with Wayne, you run a lot of duo or power with Fuller. Is it kind of, I was joking with Murray the other week, like if you're making a Madden team, it's like you want the power back in Fuller, and you create the scat back in Wayne Knight. Do you kind of agree with that in the sense that their two skill sets can really complement each other, and how does that feel as an offensive lineman to block for those two different skill sets?
I think it's nice because they both have the capability to run through a defender or make a defender miss. I think they're both overall really complete backs, and I just think they both play to their strengths really well, and I think our staff puts them in good spots.
And then how have you kind of seen, and obviously you can't tell during the game, but just looking back on tape, how have you seen Alonzo's rushing ability in design runs kind of progress, especially this month? He's gotten a lot of yards gained just from design runs.
Yeah, I think some of the pictures against Texas State were just the hole was open, Zoe hit it, and he was out the gate. He did get hawked on one of them, though, so probably shouldn't let that happen. But, yeah, I think he's done a great job just running hard, making people miss.
How much of there is a comfort level on the entire group's part up front, just having another year in Coach Kennedy's system and just a better grasp and understanding of what you guys are trying to do in this scheme?
I think there's a lot of understanding. We always preached last year, playing harder than the other team, you'll win the game. And I think we didn't see that as much till later on. We really started breaking down some teams, and our offense directly correlated to how the O-line went. So I think there's a lot more understanding, and now we know like what we're capable of this year.
Tell me a little bit about Marshall. What kind of has stood out so far and the challenges that their defense presents?
Marshall runs a 3 down front, but they put a lot of bigger guys up front, cancel some gaps interiorly. They run man. Their secondary is really good, and I think they present a challenge to everybody. A really talented defense.
We're talking about Coach Kennedy, but also to have a guy like Coach Smith who's been collegiately NFL. What has he brought to the table that's kind of helped your group be able to get to where you are now?
A ton. Coach Smith knows, everything. He's gotten us so much smarter as a group, but more also the MO he wants us to be as an O-line, being the hardest playing O-line in the country, being extremely confident, being an older group now, and just really going out there and making defensive fronts feel us every week.
And then also just for all the returners, including yourself, how have you maybe felt this team handle the level of success you guys have been having maybe a little differently from last year?
I would say our preparation, we're not surprised by the success that we're having right now. It's kind of just a product of all we did in the summer, all we did in the spring, going at it as hard as we could every day during fall camp.
What's it been like blocking with these tight ends? I know I talked to Pfeiffer the other week, and he said in high school he just loved blocking with the offensive line. He hardly even went out for targets. These guys have kind of looked like an extension of the O-line.
Mm-hmm. What
was it like in summer? When did you kind of realize that these blocking tight ends are different in that aspect?
Yeah, during fall camp, there were some blocks where you would see him just completely solo block at the end, like no help needed, just completely handle the end. So I think we look at him more as our 6th and 7th offensive linemen in the game rather than tight ends.
You guys have not given up too many sacks so far since conference play started. You know, offensive line is one of those position groups that, doesn't necessarily get the spotlight too often. So what, for you guys, if you want to brag on your teammates a little bit, what do you think has kind of been that difference maker to, keep opponents out of the backfield?
I think preparation and going out to practice every day with, like, what you can do to get better in mind. I think early on in the year, we may have been shown, like, hey, this is what you guys can work on by some other teams we played. But I think we really, digested the film. We went out to practice and tried to get better on what we could, and I think that's paid off. Yes.
Back here. So a lot of people know we went to the same high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Happened to be quarterback in high school. So how was it blocking for me in high school?
It was a lot of fun blocking for you in high school. We ran single wing, so it wasn't often too much a pass. But when it was, he would run out the pocket too early from time to time. So it was a lot of fun.
Are you saying that's my fault or?
No, I think we weren't getting much pressure, so it may have been your fault now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe for JT, how long were you sitting on that? Maybe for Carter, how long were you sitting on the idea that he was leaving the pocket too early in high school? You've been working on that for 6 years?
Oh, yeah, I think I've been letting him know since senior year of high school now.